Would you like to get into acting or writing a screenplay in midlife, but you think it's too late? In today's episode, I talked to Kimberly Pember, who dove back into acting in midlife, and her most recent film was with Bruce Willis playing his ex wife. She's also writing a screenplay. Listen in and get some great tips. Hello, dreamers. Welcome to the Late Starters Club, giving you the inspiration, mindset, and tools you need to start something midlife and beyond. Remember, it's never too late to follow your dreams. Dreamers, it is your host, Andrea Vall, and I am here with the amazing Kimberly Pember, and we are going to dive all into acting and screenwriting today. I'm so excited. Welcome, Kim.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This is wild. I've never done this.
Well, it's so fun. So fun. I'm super excited. Well, I'll just give people a little bit of background. Kim and I both are at the same acting studio, Babcock
Mhm.
Studios here in Denver, run by the fabulous Todd Babcock, and give him a little shout out there.
Mhm.
And on Late Starters Club, I've been looking for people who have started something later in life, having success in their midlives and things like that. And Kim has been doing amazing things with her acting, appearing in things like Detective Night,
Mhm.
Independence with Bruce Willis.
Yep, it just dropped today, so it's been a kind of a wild morning.
Oh my gosh. I know. I saw your little screenshot of that. That is so cool. You play his ex-wife, right?
I do. I play his ex-wife, and Willow Shields plays our daughter. And yeah, that was such a surreal event in my life. I've been watching him since I was younger, so it was definitely a put a check mark in that box.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. And you've appeared on other films and other projects and
I have.
all
I've been
yeah.
very, very fortunate in the business to be blessed with the projects that I've been blessed with and to meet people that I've met. But I love telling stories and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah, that's so cool. And now you are currently writing a screenplay.
I am. Again, the Babcock Studios, it's such a creative home
It
and everyone coming there, and it's such a great community that they share each other's talents and
Mhm.
influence you. It's peer pressure, right? And so one of the students there started writing, and as the studio, we're going to try to produce it. And it just really, it made me jealous a little bit, to be honest. No. No, it just inspired me. And
Yeah.
a friend of ours, Kat,
Mhm.
that came up to me and said, "We should do something." And I love her spirit. And I just saw her with the pantyhose over her head. I don't know what that image came. I don't know why. So that was my launching point. And
Uh-huh.
it's just about sisters,
Yeah,
trying to deal with end of life things with their parents and
right.
get into a little bit of trouble. So,
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned peer pressure, and I love that because I just joined Babcock Studios a couple years ago, right before the pandemic hit. Actually, our class like was split right in the middle of the pandemic.
uh-huh.
And I think it is very true. So getting around people, being inspired by people. And I thought for me, I thought, well, acting's done, right? I didn't, as an older woman, I was like, yeah, lots of parts. What am I going to play a grandma, and
Shh, we don't talk about that.
I
I
know.
don't think about those things.
I know.
Thanks.
But it is amazing when you get around a group like that is inspiring, that's doing things. It just opens up new possibilities, I think. And
It truly does. And then, not even in the arts, I just think that in general in life, when you find something you're passionate about, surrounding yourself with those people that are just as passionate,
yeah,
it only forces you to grow.
right. Right, for sure, for sure. So, let's see. You have been acting for a longer period. It's not like you just started in
Right.
midlife, but you've had
Mhm.
some great success in midlife. And what are some of the lessons or takeaways, the biggest lessons or takeaways that you've had
Oh,
from
goodness.
that?
Yeah, so I started acting in the little small one act plays in our small town and did it through college and then married my husband and had
Mhm.
kids. And there was the army, and there was a lot of in between that I wasn't working in my craft. And so there came a point when the children were older and they were going to school, and the opportunity just presented itself, and so I must have been well, my kids were already in school, so I'm not gonna tell you my age, not getting that out of me. So, I had the time, and so coming back around to it, we were living in Austin, and I just Googled. I started Googling studios, and then by that way, connecting with people in the Austin industry, and it's just blossomed from there. But it's truly
Mhm,
about the people and putting yourself out there. Through that, and with this new found, I don't know what to call it, like the projects I'm on, I'm very lucky to have, and I never
mhm.
thought I would be here. The obstacle that I find is myself. I can get in my own way better than anybody that I know. And I think when you do that kind of late start in something you're passionate about, there's that apprehension, there's an insecurity, and surrounding yourself by people who are like minded helps break those walls down. And you start to trust yourself a little more.
Yeah.
But just and not being overly critical of your work, which we can all do.
Yeah, yeah, that is definitely a hard thing to get through, and I think that the other thing that's nice about working in Todd's studio is that it's just a muscle that you continue to build and work on, and you get so much practice and so many different roles that you get put into that you are able to let down your guard and hopefully not get in your own way, not get in your head, but it's still easy to do. I just
Oh my gosh. Ugh. Well, this morning watching my right before literally walking out the door and the kids are like, "Mom, your movie," and so we watched that and it was a little horrifying because I'm like picking it apart, and
Oh,
eventually I
no.
just have to kind of take a breath and come back around to it and look at it more from a learning experience. Well, that worked or that didn't. And then also it gives a good gauge on my growth.
Yeah.
And so I just joined the studio not shortly before I filmed that. And I think about a year ago where I was compared to where I am now, it's leaps and bounds in my
Yeah, it is always beneficial to recognize that growth and recognize that we can give ourselves a little grace in that.
absolutely. And it does. It
Yeah.
comes from the people you surround yourself with. I give all that credit to the community and the culture that Todd has created in that
Yeah,
studio.
for sure.
I've never experienced anything like that.
It's awesome. It's
It
awesome.
truly is.
Yeah. So, if you could I don't always ask this question, but you sent in your responses to this, but, if you could go back and tell your younger self one thing, what would that be?
Not to wash my hair in Nair when I
Did that
was
actually happen?
it actually happened. It did. Anyone out there that knows how old I was, don't call and give me a hassle. I don't know. 5, 6. I had hair. Let's just put it that way. And apparently Nair used to come in a Prel bottle and,
Uh-huh.
I'm just sitting there in my hot, baby pink bathtub with, 1970s, just pouring that bottle, the whole
Oh
thing in.
my god.
And my mother says when she walked in, because it has that smell, that the smell hit her and she grabbed my ponytail and pulled in the whole pony. Yeah, lots of people thought I was a boy for a long time. Someone at SeaWorld actually, they asked for a girl. I raised my hand. They said they want a boy.
Oh.
They want a girl. I can't remember,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
the story basically is
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
traumatizing, truly, I'm
yeah,
sure.
yeah. Well,
Probably
I know. I had the Dorothy Hamill haircut, which didn't really work on me, so I got called son, Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and nicknames are fun.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing you mentioned about having a goal, not a man.
Have a goal, not a man. I don't know that we have enough time for me to
Yeah,
to
yeah,
flush all
yeah,
that out. No,
yeah.
I gr and I don't mean to stereotype. This is my
Mhm.
experience growing up in a small town, and I did grow up on a ranch, and there was just this, I don't know, idea that I would marry someone local and I would come back and live in the town and raise a family there. That's really, for a long time, was just, this is what's gonna happen to me. And luckily, some events happened when I was younger that, obviously the path has changed. But I struggled with it even in college, feeling like I didn't have my own identity, that I had to be with someone, that I couldn't stand on my own 2 feet. And if I could go back, I would definitely tell myself, "Your feet are there, you just gotta get your butt out of the chair." If you would not and so, again, I love my life and things like that. I just wish I would have been a little
Yeah.
more independent, a little more trusting in myself.
Yeah. Well, the programming, I think, is challenging to get through when we've been programmed from a young age that our role is to be married, be in a family, traditional life, whatever that can be. And I think doing something like acting or screenwriting is way outside that box. And so it's hard to break free. Yeah. So I'm glad you did.
I do too, and again, it's about the people that are around you without the support of my family and
Mhm.
my mentors and my teachers over the
Mhm.
years saying, "You can do this. You've got it. You just gotta keep walking forward, take that
Yeah.
next step."
Yeah. Yeah, and let's dive into some of your biggest mentors and teachers. I think you said your dad was one of them?
Yeah, my dad, he's a cowboy, boots, doesn't go anywhere without them and his hat, even
Uh-huh.
to the beach. He's one of those guys. He's always been patient and supportive. He has read everything I've written, bless his heart,
Mhm.
over the last couple of months, and an empathy too for nature and relationships and things of that nature. He's on that pedestal pretty high.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And, yeah, and definitely I think you said also your children are
Oh
one of
my
your greatest influencers.
Yes, paying for my raising right now for sure. No, my children are amazing, and, it's cool right now that they're 13 and 16 and really finding their path, their own way of things.
Mhm.
Really interesting to watch. Very different. The younger is doing the acting thing and
Mm.
is involved with that, but, plays the violin and writes stories and all that. And then the older one skateboards and hangs out with his friend and takes
Mhm.
pictures. So it's just nice to see them becoming well-rounded. And there's always kids over here, so they tell the best stories too. So mostly I'm just sitting back there recording their conversations, getting it to
I
later in a
know.
screenplay.
Yeah, totally, totally.
No, I don't mean that, children.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's awesome, that's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about you dove into the writing and what kinds of things have been motivating you for writing a screenplay versus doing the acting? And what are some of the ways that you push through things like writer's block or,
Sure.
things like that?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, just cat planted the seed and it just happened. It really did. I just sat down and just went with that thought and then it just flowed out after that. um and the other side of it, probably more so than just for my creative brain or my creative self is in the studio, we have a lot of young actors, and it's really hard to get an agent. And that's really your
Mm,
first step if you want to get into some better roles and some more meatier stuff, right? But you got to have a reel, you got to have your headshots, you got to have a voice audio, the stuff to self tape at home. It's a lot,
mhm,
truly a lot of money. And usually you're just out there auditioning and just trying to get something. If you
mm,
do film something, you got to wait for it to get back to you. And so my thought
yeah,
was if we have enough talent in that studio to just write short scenes that we can film for these kids reels, it would be short, sweet, and then they would have something to move on to that next step. And I have enough little stories that I could type it out and it would take, 5 minutes and we could film it and they would have something. So that was the other side of it is I saw it as a need and something
uh,
fun to bring the community together.
yeah,
The biggest thing, and when I can't think of anything, is I usually just go do a puzzle or watch some TV. If it's a
mhm.
character, I'll try to find some examples of film clips that have that kind of character in it and
Mhm.
see. And sometimes I just go take a nap. Maybe more
Okay.
than sometimes. But
That's probably my favorite. I
oh yeah,
have to
right.
say. Working from home, like, the bed is just right over there, you know?
Oh, I know. You're like,
Right, right.
and yeah, and keeping the motivation too.
Yeah,
So I do. I try to at least
yeah,
sit down at it for 10 minutes and
yeah,
see what
yeah,
spills out.
yeah. Yeah, and then on the acting side, you've got an agent, you're represented, but it is really truly up to you to go out and be finding things, right? The agent might bring some things to you, but you're the one who's responsible in more of that?
Right. Yeah. When you're first starting out, for sure,
Mm,
our websites that will be posting jobs and stuff. Some of them pay, some of them
mhm,
don't. And so you have to just decide, like, how far are you willing to go to get what you want, right?
mhm,
When I first started, I did a lot of stuff that didn't pay. I did a lot
mhm.
of university films for their finals and just anything to get something,
Yeah,
right?
right.
But now we can just tape it ourselves. Take that phone and go outside and do it yourselves. You don't have to wait
Yeah.
on anybody anymore.
Yeah, yeah, that is the cool thing is that there's a lot more available in terms of the way the quality of the way things can look even
Right.
when you're doing it.
And I do think that, that we talked about getting in our own way. It's everybody's probably had this idea. It's just taking that first step and making it happen, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that is a scary thing. It's amazing how many people say, "Yeah, I'm gonna do that someday," or "I wanna do that," or,
Mhm.
but they're just not doing it.
Yeah.
Here's a good question. How has your view of aging changed over your life? Especially in this world, I think it's harder for women who are in their midlife in the acting industry, but how has that changed for you?
Ooh, it's this is a good question. See, tell you what my first thought was. So I turned 45 this past December, and I didn't think it would hit me as hard as it
Yeah,
did, but it
yeah.
really it whacks me across the face.
I know.
Like standing outside in my backyard over my fire pit, that kind of what am I gonna do the next 45 years?
It's funny
Um,
because I have a harder time at the 5s a lot of time too, because it feels like I'm just that much closer to the next big one.
right. And and I'm just like, ooh.
Yeah.
And it caused me to take a step back and look at the bigger picture of like, where is my family in amidst all of this? Where do I fit in? Because everybody's doing their own thing. My husband has his medical practice that he works for in Texas and he travels a lot. My son is off with his friends in photography. They each have they're doing their thing. And it woke me up. I'm like, you know what? I can do my thing
Yeah.
and not feel guilty about it anymore.
Yeah.
Because even if I booked a role, I would be so happy, but I would feel so guilty that I would have to leave my husband and leave the kids and, thinking that
Yeah.
they couldn't take care of themselves because mom's
Mhm.
not there. But
We do a lot as moms.
we do, and letting go of those responsibilities, it's been it's been interesting. I'll
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah, definitely. My kids are 17 and 20, and I definitely feel it was a big shift as they hit their teens, and all of a sudden they started to be gone a little bit more, started to
Mhm.
have their own activities I didn't even really know about as much anymore. I used to, you're used to knowing every single minute of their day. And then
Oh,
when
yeah.
they get a little older, you're like, well, I don't, they're on their own a little more. And,
Right.
and it's time to, that is a nice time. It's time to get back to discovering who we are and
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly, and there's an almost I told my husband this, an acceptance of who I am. There, for I don't know if this makes any sense, but it always felt like I was always pushing against myself, again, getting my own way. Like I have to do this, right? I got to do this, or there was just an ownership of myself. Of okay, this is who I am now, and um, I'm not in a place where I feel judged or feel like I have to be anybody else or behave in a different way. There's just,
Mhm.
I don't know. It was just a weird thing. I just kept saying, oh,
Yeah.
this is me. This is my body. This is
Right. Well, I'm telling you, I am turning 53 next week, and I thought the 50s were gonna be terrible. I was like, people say stuff like, "Oh, the 50s are great," and I was like, "That is a bunch of crap right there." But I really am loving the 50s, so I think it is, again, just a lot of letting go of that judgment and really
yeah. And I
yeah.
guess the word identity
Mhm.
just popped in my head while you were talking. I finally like, I don't know. There was like, this is my identity. Like I claimed it. right? I'm
Mhm.
not Sean and Bren's mom, which I am,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
right, being and then knowing how passionate I am about the acting and telling stories, uh, I don't know. It just felt like I finally put on a final piece of my own skin,
It's
if that
awesome.
makes any sense.
Yeah. No, that's great. I love that. I love that. So, what is an assumption that a lot of people have about you that is wrong?
Well, I've been told that I am very intimidating.
That's interesting.
People mostly when I'm on set, and I'm
Uh,
like, "Well, because I'm actually scared out of my pajamas." But, yeah, people have said that we I didn't know how to take you because you look like you are not nice.
oh my gosh, that's
I
crazy.
know, and so I'm like, "Okay." Like, I'm usually just in my head.
Yeah, it is funny because I think sometimes I think when I'm in a situation I'm pretty outgoing normally, and then when I'm in a new situation, I just shut up and look around and don't say anything, and I
Or
think people
yeah.
think I might be standoffish or something like that, but I'm just like, "I'm really just shaking over here quietly."
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, that's been one.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
any other maybe I think people think maybe I'm healthier than I am.
Well, you do I will also let people know one of your a side gig, because 'cause you're really full-time actress, but also you teach workout, is that right? You teach
Yeah,
workout
so
classes?
I'm a certified group
Instructor?
instructor for Mecca Studios here in
Oh,
Boulder
cool.
and Louisville. Yeah, I've been doing fitness for a long time. That
Yeah,
was
yeah,
when the kids were younger. I had my own business in East Texas, and so it's
mhm,
just I've always been athletic and
yeah, yeah,
healthy.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's a good way to I love the members. I love to see people
yeah,
change and grow,
yeah,
and it's a way for me to get out and meet people
yeah,
too because we've only lived
yeah.
here for a couple of years and
Right.
I need
Yeah,
some
that is
friends.
nice. Yeah, no, it is good to have something grounding in that way, so that's
Mhm.
good. Good. I'd love to get your thoughts. You talked about some of the sites that you go to looking for acting gigs, and love to give some resources out for people. Where are your favorite places to watch for acting
Oh,
jobs?
sure. Backstage.com is a very common one, and they have anybody can post a job there. If there's I think you can get a free account. You just put your pictures on there, whatever you
Mhm.
have. Actorsaccess.com is also another one. And it's broken up by region, so you can search different places. And then also it's just on Facebook and Instagram, try to join casting directors' websites, Colorado Media and Film, things of that nature. And then just find a studio that you love and practice and surround yourself with people that love what they do.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So you had a studio when you were at a studio when you were in Austin. We're at both at Babcock Studios, who offers
Mhm.
they have offer different nights and things like that. Do most towns have studios similar to that? Do you know, or is that a thing? Or
Oh, well, I've lived in a lot of towns.
right?
I can tell you. And yes, I would say more than most. I
Uh-huh.
may have to drive,
Yeah, yeah,
but if there's a school nearby or a
yeah,
university or a junior college or anything,
yeah,
just check it out. I
yeah,
know when I lived in Austin, I was at a studio there, and then I went over to the junior college and took a classes over there. The more exposure to different teachers,
yeah,
different theories, you'll find what works for you, and you'll
yeah,
be a rock star.
yeah. Awesome. I just realized I wanted to also quickly. You talked about a couple stories, and I want to talk about your oh shit moment first.
So I was in New Mexico about to shoot Detective Night, Independence with Bruce Willis. It was the morning of it was no, the day before. So it was morning, basically. I went downstairs and he's having breakfast. And I'm like, well, this is the perfect time for me to go introduce myself. And I'm
Yeah.
like, but I'm gonna go wash my hands. I went to the bathroom, washed my hands, and there were not any towels. And there weren't anything to dry my hands with except my yoga pants. So I just went up to her and, like, he grabbed my hand, and I'm like, "I promise they're clean. I'm sorry they're wet." And he was like, "Oh, hi, I'm Kimberly. I'm your ex-wife." And, of course, he's got, like, his entourage there, and they're like,
Uh-huh.
"Ex-wife, hey, ex-wife." Yeah,
That's
he's,
awesome.
adorable and kind and
That's so cool.
yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. And then talk about your pivotal moment.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so my first film was Pasture, the first one I ever booked, and we were shooting down in San Antonio, or in that area, and at the time, I just started back into acting, was struggling a little bit with my confidence, and just life in general was yucky, right? And with
Mhm.
anything that you start
Yeah.
fresh, right? Whether
Yeah.
you've never done it before or whether you have and it's been a long time. So it was just a little bit of a rough giddy up. Let's just say I was on this shoot. If you there were, drinking, I was drinking a little bit more than probably I should have, just trying to belch that doubt and insecurity
Mhm.
a little too much into the bottle. And I met this actress on set, Abigail Rose. She played the lead, and she was the only one not drinking. And we started talking, and she shared with me. She said, I used to drink a lot." And then I decided, what was it doing for me? How was it serving me and my passion, which was acting? And it wasn't. And it really hit me hard.
Yeah.
Here I was returning to something that was near and dear to my heart, and numbing the very instrument that I needed to do that job. And, we hear stories about it all the time, and other entertainers in the world, coming out of rehab and starting over. And it's a scary thing, but is made a difference in the quality of my work, my confidence, and it was the best thing I ever did.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, I think that's so great to commit to that and realize that it's going to be a barrier between you and what you want to achieve and what your dreams and everything
Mhm.
like that. And it's silly because I've been doing dry January, and it really has made me realize how much it was affecting me when I didn't think it was. I always thought, oh, I'm just having a glass or two to relax
Mhm.
or whatever. And, you improve sleep, you improve
Mhm.
focus, improved, just awareness and even just energy during the day for me. And so it's
Right.
been a really eye opening thing for me just this past
Yeah,
3 weeks. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's, everything in moderation,
Yeah.
but,
Right.
you have to you have to be able to ID, "Oh, this is in my way. It's not
Yeah.
me, it's this." And so you have to make a decision, like,
Yeah.
what's more
Ex
important?
Right.
And, and then, again, everything in moderation, but
Yeah.
that was for me, that was just eye-opening, and it really did push me back into, "Okay, what is the goal and what is the focus? Why are you doing
Right.
what you're doing?"
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Well, Kim, we are coming to the end of our time, but I always like to have people share one of their favorite quotes or inspirational things with us here. And what quote would you like to share? Inspiring.
Yes, I have a couple, but the one that I tend to lean on the most is it's the yes theory. At the studio, we have yes and. The yes theory is a theory that, like, if you don't ask, you don't know, right? And so there's a group, I think they're on YouTube, called the Yes Theory. And
Mm,
this is my son shared it with me. So this is where I
mm.
got it. It's a total ripoff. But I appreciate you
Me
guys
too.
because I
Yeah.
live by
Yeah.
your YouTube channel. Anyway, so it's like finding an agent. If you don't ask, then you don't know. And if you ask and they tell you no, what have you lost but some time,
Yeah.
right? But if they tell you yes, it's a
Yeah.
whole new door they just opened.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anytime I'm afraid, I
Awesome.
just go, what's the worst thing that can happen?
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I love it. Yeah, I'm a huge yes and person as well, so that's
Yeah.
great, but I like that frame of it, for
Yep.
well, Kim, it's been just a delight having you on, so fun, and hopefully I will see you at the studio sometime. Yeah,
Oh my
so
gosh. Thank you so much, Andrea.
yeah.
This has been fun. And
Yeah, and we'll post the link to your IMDb credit or your IMDb page and Is
Yep.
that the best place people can
Sure.
find you?
Yeah,
Okay.
and yep, and it's spelled Ley, Kimberly. They have that southern long vowel sound at the end.
Kimberly.
Kimberly. So when mama calls you that, you come a running.
Well, I love it. Well, thank you for sharing with our listeners and everything. It's been just a pleasure talking to you, and
Oh, well, thank you
we'll
so
see you
much.
around. Okay. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye, everyone.
Hope that was helpful, and make sure you grab the free guide, Top Tools for Late Starters, on the website at latestartersclub.com. And let's turn dreaming into doing.